My dissertation was on the biodegradation of aromatic hydrocarbons in the environment. So you can see where I was interested at the time. My job now is quite far removed from that, but I wouldn't say that any of that experience has been wasted. The core modules that we had to do as part of the course did introduce me to subject matter which I've come across since. Particular ones of use were the environmental impact and assessment course. These have all probably changed, by the way. Course on law, course on public relations, and the one which I really hated at the time, but I now realise the value of, is statistics. So you do come across those things as you progress through. You might never actually need or remember the exact detail, but because you already have a grounding in it, it's much easier to pick it up as you go along. I graduated in '99, and I ventured into my professional career, but it started with that work experience between my first and second year, and that was with Shell. And essentially I was working in a lab assisting them with trying to find the best way to wash oil contaminated sediments. I very quickly learned that I did not want to be a lab technician, and I did not want to spend the rest of my life in a lab. At Portsmouth Outdoor Centre, I was an environmental studies tutor, teaching local school children about the environment during the day, and then teaching adults and children about sailing and other water sports in the evenings and at weekends. I left the Outdoor Centre and went to work for the River Hamble Harbour Authority. I was responsible for the environments on the river. I was responsible to the Harbour Master for the oil spill management plan, for the waste management plan. I reported to the management committee and the Harbour Board, and I oversaw the estuary management plan. So there was a lot, again, of communication and consultation in that. I also had to have a very good grounding in legislation, hence the module in EIA started to get me into the terminology that's used there. There were also a lot of legal matters, so again, good grounding in legal speak helps. And just generally the ability to get out there, communicate with people and represent the Harbour Authority. I left the Harbour Authority and moved on to a small consultancy called Marina Projects. Clear in the name, we dealt with marinas. This took me away from working on a site, a particular location, and gave me experience throughout the UK and Europe and abroad as well. I then left Marina Projects and moved to Hanson Aggregates. I went offshore. Hanson Aggregates is the largest marine aggregate producer in the UK. They have the largest number of licenses and the largest number of ships. To give you an idea, that ship there is a 5,000-ton dredger. It's an aggregate dredger. There are dredgers out there who undertake a slightly different type of dredging, but they can be 20,000 tons plus. So you're starting to see the scale of the operations. It had to have an understanding of that operation because obviously I wasn't there every day. And my role there was the marine licence manager, and I managed and ensured compliance of all of our licences. I had regular daily dealings with the regulators. I had to report and provide budgets to the company itself, and I was commissioning survey contractors and consultants to complete work. I left Hanson's and moved on to my current role with ERM, Environmental Resources Management, ERM. It's a large international consultancy, over 5,000 staff in 40 countries. We have three main sectors that ERM works with: oil and gas, power and mining. But that doesn't limit who we work for. We work with a range of other organisations as well. What it does mean, though, is that it's very varied. It's international work as well as UK work, and that means that it varies in scale. So I could be, and I'll talk about it in a minute, but I could be delivering an aggregate EIA, which is a small area of seabed, anywhere up to 20 square kilometres off the UK coast, to projects, for example, delivering a mining project, an environmental impact assessment for a mining project in Africa, where you're not only having to look at the mine, you're looking at the supporting infrastructure for that, which will tend to be rail links and road links, and then potentially a port as well. So you've gone from something quite small to something very, very large, stretching over vast terrestrial expanses. I currently work for the Impact Assessment and Planning team. ERM also has contaminated site management, audits, transaction services, risk assessment, and some specialist services as well in air quality and noise. The work I currently do is basically produce environmental statements for environmental impact assessments, but I also manage certain clients' requirements in complying with licence conditions that they may have as well.